everyone, it's Thomas here, and welcome to another edition of BRStv Reacts, the show where I get to check out your awesome aquariums at home that you've submitted. Today we're looking at aquariums that were submitted through Facebook. So if you want your scene, go ahead and check out the comment pinned at the top of the comment section below for how to enter, and I will get to check it out. First, we're going to start off with Shane Schrader's aquarium. Let's have a look at his crazy reef. Holy! Heavy on the blues, but I gotta say, when you have that much fire in your tank, that's one really good way to show it off. Lots and lots of color, beautiful bubble tip, a bunch of really nice scalemia, some rock flower anemones in there, acans. Oh, that's something you don't get to see too often. There's a couple of tube anemones in there too on the bottom right-hand side. Really nice. They sting. They got a punch. They pack one heck of a punch. Really cool. Wow. Really nice LPS dominated tank. Also got some SPS in there, but just those LPS are screaming. Got some mushrooms in there too. Again, super bright. The zoas that are in there are super bright. The acans are super bright. You were cherry picking some corals, I think. Picking out some really nice stuff. Even the clownfish are really nice. Bengai cardinal. Got a hammer in there for some movement. I'm not sure if that's a Euphi. No. What's in the back? Is that another anemone at the back on the left-hand side, or is that an elegance? Really cool. And I really dig your rock work. I think you got a pretty awesome kind of like projection. It's almost like an arch, but it just kind of sticks straight out forward and ends instead of keeps going. The rock work's really interesting. Lots of space on the bottom of the tank there for those LPS to sit, like your scalemias, your meat coral. Really cool. The tube anemones. I think you're using a black sand in here. Is that what you got? Really cool. Rock work looks like it's got a pretty good, must have a pretty good coverage of coralline, because I don't really see a lot of algae on it or anything like that. I don't really see any algae in this tank, honestly, other than the zooxanthellae and those fire corals of yours. Wow. Really nice. And I can see that you posted a picture in the thread there just a little bit lower of your sump setup. You bought everything that glows. Not only do your corals glow, but all of your equipment, tubes, everything down there is just glowing. It's like a little rave in your house. I'm assuming this is in your house, but it's crazy. It's a great little tank. Lots and lots of color, both in the display and underneath. Lots of fun. Really fun. Nice. What feedback can I give? You've got some really nice corals. Even the one softie in the tank that stands out really nicely is that like Tyree toadstool leather. I don't know if it's actually the Tyree version, but it's gorgeous. Just thanks for the eye candy. Really cool. Man, I know you've still got some room on the rock for more coral. I don't know if you're going to let things grow in, if you're going to keep adding to your collection of absolute eye burners, but yeah, just keep it up. Really cool. And that equipment, man. Shane. That's awesome. All right, let's see what's next. I'm all excited now, Shane. Way to start off. Way to kick off the show, Shane. Good job. All right, next up we've got Jeff Sanderlin. It's a nice short clip of the tank, but I love the amount of movement in that, you know, it's just a few seconds clip, but the amount of movement you've got in the tank just from your fish. Really nice personable fish. You got a beautiful yellow tang, a couple of clowns, and then you've got right up front where everybody can see some beautiful green chromis. Looking real sweet. I can also see in the back there you've got a maybe a pair. It might just be one, but you've got a pajama cardinal, which is one of my favorites. You've also got, I think, a dotty back. Yeah, there's a dotty back there. I'm seeing that dotty back. Neon dotty back. Primo. Really nice. I like that the tank's very brightly lit. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. There's, you know, a lot of people like the bluer tanks because it really has a lot of that coral pop. So you see tons and tons of color, lots of fluorescence. But I personally, especially for fish, I really prefer a slightly whiter tank. So I like the fact that this tank's a little bit more on the wider side. You've got some really nice softies in there. You know, you've got some button polyps, looks like some zoanthids, some mushrooms. You've got some encrusting gorgonian, like the star polyps. Looks really, really nice. Some xenia, it looks like too, which is going to provide lots of movement, nice high up on the rock work. If you're not doing sticks and stuff, having your rock work a little bit higher up is not a big deal, especially with those more encrusting corals on the top, like the star polyps and the mushrooms and the zoanthids. They're not going to be stretching all the way to the surface, so that works really, really well as far as placement goes. And then, yeah, the fish are just dancing around, looking really, really nice. Nice bright tank. Is that tang? Is that one of those yellow tangs that has a bunch of white on it? Do they call them koi tangs? I don't know what they call them. What the technical term is. Or if it's just blown out from like just it being a very, very bright tank and the camera's not catching. I can't really tell. But either way, the tank looks really, really pretty. All the fish look nice and thick and happy. Lots and lots of water movement. Great work. I do like the, even though your aquascape is a little bit more towards a rock wall, I do like the fact that, to me at least, looks like it kind of curves towards the back of the tank. So it's creating like a little alcove for the fish to like swim in and around. So you've got lots of negative space on the sand bed in front of the rock work, but it kind of like picks up and makes like a little bit of an alcove there, which I think looks really, really nice. I can also, if I'm seeing things right, it looks like it's higher on the one side of the tank. It kind of slopes a little bit and has kind of a valley that, from your perspective, looking at me, would come this way towards the front of the glass, which is pretty cool. Kind of wish you gave me a little bit more to work with. I'm curious. I kind of want to see what the tank looks like from other angles now. You got me all curious. Really, really good work. Digging it. Want to see more, Jeff. So make sure you send in a little bit more. Even if it doesn't show up in this Reacts, you know, I would just love to be able to jump on the Reacts thread there and check out your tank a little bit more. That's really, really cool. Great submission. All right, let's see what's next. Steve Pond. Whoa. So that's the end. Beautiful angel. Tang gang, clowns, awesome looking Durasa. I'm a massive fan. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Is that a powder brown tang? It's either a powder brown or I don't know. Whatever it was gorgeous. You have some really, really nice fish in this system. Just looking from the end there, like your SPS colonies are getting nice and big and mature. Lots of water movement just looking at the top there. It's an impressive view. The end of your tank is an impressive view. I'm kind of curious what it looks like from the front since you withheld that from me. But yeah, your corals are looking really, really nice. They're obviously got good growth. They're doing a good job. I can see that they're encrusting really well. Nice, beautiful shape to the colonies too. They're doing exactly what you want from you know, these types of SPS, getting that kind of branching outward growth while having like a smaller base. They're just looking sweet. Lots of flow around the tank, keeping them happy. The Durasa clam looks awesome. I can see that the clam's got a nice ring of white growth on the shell, which clams basically have all the time until they reach their maximum size, which Durasas get very, very big. So I'm glad you have a 300 gal because that thing's going to grow. But very, very nice. Lots of mantle extension on it, but it doesn't look like it's starving for light. It looks like he's just like, oh yeah. Yeah. Give me the nutrients. Give me the light. Let me clean that tank. I love Tridacid clams. They do a really good job of nutrient uptake in my experience. I've never done an SPS reef without them. I love them and adore them, and I'm glad to see one in your tank. I think it's really awesome that you've got the angels in your tank. I think you even have a butterfly at the end there. Is that a butterfly? Risky business. Oh, is that a gold flake angel? Is that what they're called? Man, that's pretty. How do you find the angels with your SPS and stuff? Do you find they ever pick on it? Oh, that's another angel. It's not a butterfly. It's an angel, right? Is that an angel or is that a butterfly? I'm not entirely sure. But it's another gorgeous fish. The one with the black band, yellow in the face, kind of like a faded white to gray on the rest of the body. Really, really cool. Man, it's one of the reasons I would want to have a really big tank is to have some really, really nice larger reef fish like that. But I can't help it. I just enjoy smaller tanks. So therefore I stick with smaller fish. Man. Steve Pond, good work. Really, really, really nice. Really nice. Again, a tank I'd love to see more of. So submit again but more this time. And maybe it'll make it on one of the future episodes. All right, next up, we've got Erik ET. Says here, you've recently added a Neuro 5 about 2 weeks ago. Still can't figure out if the flow is efficient or sufficient for your tank. Let's have a look, see if I can help you out with that. It's a 50-gallon with a hang-on-the-back skimmer and Hydra 32 lights. Let's have a peek. Very cool. You do have a lot of flow in the tank. You can see the surface there is rippling pretty well. The Euphyllias look like they're blowing around. Your hammer coral's got some movement. The torch coral there's got some movement. The leather's got movement. Big colonies of zoanthids. Really nice. It looks like a Palau Nephthia there. Green Nephthia. Gorgeous. Clowns are looking happy. Anemone's got some movement. But that also might be the... are those lightning maroons? Oh, they totally are. Nice fish. Yeah, I think you've got quite a bit of flow in there. Just visually looking at what's happening for kind of a softy and LPS dominated tank, you probably have enough flow. The way that I would say you can really tell is when it comes maintenance time, if you're siphoning your sand bed and you're noticing that you're getting a ton of mulm or waste coming out of specific spots in the tank, that's kind of how you can identify if you've got low flow areas that are accumulating detritus. And it's those areas you just want to pay attention to during maintenance. But as far as the corals getting enough flow, to me, it does look like you've got enough flow in the tank for them to be doing well. They're moving around. There's, like I said, there's lots of movement on the top of the tank. You know, you don't want to be blowing them over, but you want to make sure that you've got the whole body of water moving, if you can envision that. So another way that you can tell is if you dose things like amino acids or anything that have a color to the water and it tints the water when it goes in, it's usually like a fluorescent yellow color or kind of green. Some people will see it as well. Every time you dose that, dose it into a slightly different part of the tank, or as you're dosing, just a little bit in each part and see how it moves when it dissipates. That'll give you an idea as well of where the water moves around the aquarium just while you're doing something you always do, which is dosing, right? And feeding the tank. So you'll be able to tell if you've got enough flow in that way too, just how the food blows around the tank when you add it, how liquids flow around the tank when you add them. And I would stick to checking that with like amino acids and stuff, not things like your alkalinity or calcium additives, because you want to make sure that they dissipate very quickly into the water. You don't want them to precipitate at all, but it's a great test to do. I think your flow looks pretty good and the corals look happy. And those are a couple of the ways I like to just visually check the tank. The corals are looking happy and doing their thing. You got good polyp extension and you don't have hindered growth or anything like that. That's one way to tell. Making sure that you don't have detritus accumulating in and around the rockwork, on the rockwork or on the corals themselves. Even things like leathers in the center of them, especially toadstools, can gather debris. So if that's not happening, you probably have enough flow. Nice. And for a 50-gallon, I would hope that a single Neuro 5 would probably provide enough flow, GPH-wise anyways. They're not the easiest things to direct, but they are very widespread flow. So even if you're not directing it, you know, or able to turn it to a specific spot, you should have like total tank turnover and water volume moving around should be pretty good. Some nice anemones in there too, rock flowers. Man, they've gained in popularity. Rock flowers are just really, really nice. Super, super easy to keep. Bubble tips, really, really nice. Is that, I think it's star polyps. I can't tell if it's star polyps or a big pipe organ or something, but it looks good. And I love that you've utilized the back wall for that red Montipora on that one side. It's a great way to keep a Monty kind of in a spot where it's going to be easy to manage, where it's not necessarily going to block light from the rest of the corals, because they do grow very, very fast. They're like the weeds of the SPS world. Monties just grow like stink, especially digitata and foliating Monties like Foliosta, Capricornus. They tend to grow really, really quick. So having them up in that spot, they have all this room to grow and foliate. You can keep trimming the fronts of them to keep them from shading things in front of them, and they'll just kind of keep growing outwards and upwards. And having them on the back glass makes it very easy to scrape them off when it comes time. So really smart choice. Love the huge colony of zoanthids. I can go on and on. Erik, you did a great job. I really, really like your tank. Super, super cool. Let's check out the last one on the docket today. Kyle Weiss, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Late to the party, working nights, but wanted to share anyway now that I've defeated Cyano. Congratulations on your battle against cyano. Winning the battle against cyano is always a really good feeling. Anytime you have nuisance algae or bacterial issues, being able to beat it into submission just, feels good. Let's take a look at your tank. Coal tang, really nice. Got some chromis in there. Nice black clownfish. Beautiful, is that a gold rim tang or is that a powder brown? I don't really know. I have a hard time telling the difference. The other one we saw might have been a gold rim and this might be a powder brown. Fox face. A lot of utilitarian fish, which is great. Blue throat trigger. Is that what I'm seeing there? Yellow chorus wrasse. So you've definitely got some critters in there that are very specific, algae eaters and pest control, which is really, really great. It's a great way to keep the tank free of things you don't want in there. You've got a ton of SPS going in this tank, so I think you're aiming for probably SPS dominated, but I do see LPS, so maybe a mixture. Maybe you're going for a mixed reef. But overall, lots of sticks in there to grow out, which is really fun. You got the same problem I usually have, which is frag racks everywhere. You know, if you don't have a frag tank, you tend to stick all the frags on racks wherever those racks fit, and trying to access them at the back of the tank is pretty hard because getting the magnets back there can be difficult, especially if you have it right up against the wall. So they usually end up on the front of the tank. I know all about that, so I feel for you. Got some gyre pumps, providing a bunch of flow for you there. You've got the rock work nice and low. It's not too high up in the tank, so lots and lots of room for upward growth for all those SPS. Nice arch kind of in the middle of the tank there. Looks like you've also gone bare bottom to avoid the trials and tribulations of having sand blow all over the place, which is really nice when you don't want to have to deal with that and you want to be able to kick the flow right up for those SPS long term. So those colonies have lots and lots of flow and nutrient export and exchange of everything they're going to need around their tissues so they can respirate and feed, get rid of waste. Nice. Dual overflow. So is this like a 90 gallon perhaps? Looks like it could be. I like your little Zoa garden on the bottom right-hand side of the tank there. Is that like a Titanic ornament? Is there a ship ornament in the middle of your tank? Is that what I just saw? I gotta go back. Where is that? Go back. Back up. Back it up. Oh, there it is again. That's cool. If that's, I don't know if that's an actual ornament or if that's something you made out of like cement or something or ceramic for the frags to grow on. But I like it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about the reefing hobby that a lot of people don't realize. It doesn't have to be like a super serious reef tank. You know, everybody generally shoots for like realism in their tanks and trying to replicate a natural reef. And, you know, it's kind of been a bit of a taboo thing to do, to stick anything in the tank that isn't just natural. So like ornaments, no go. But I've seen a lot of people coming up with really interesting frag plugs. So I personally, I might even stick it in this tank just for fun. I've got a frag plug that looks like the Pokemon Bulbasaur, except for he's got no bulb on his back. You can stick whatever coral you want there. I think that's a lot of fun. I think there's room in the reefing hobby to have a lot of fun and kind of do cool things. I've seen skulls. People put skull ornaments in the tank and just grow coral all over it, which is just insanely cool. So yeah, I dig it. If that's a sunken ship you decide to grow coral over in the middle of your tank, I'm all for it. Really nice. This tank's going to be really, really cool once all those SPS really start to grow in. You've already got a lot of nice fish and interesting movement in some of the softies that are in the tank there. It's a joy to look at. I would say in the next probably 8 months to 1 year, this tank's going to take on like so much more shape in SPS growth and stuff. Those LPS are going to keep growing too. Like it looks like you probably have a torch right up there in the front that's already a really good size, and they tend to grow pretty quick when they're happy. Nice big beautiful fish. The trigger's a really cool addition. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this one again in the future. Kyle Weiss, thank you so much for your submission. Really, really cool. I'm digging your tank. And thank you to everyone in the reefing community for their submissions, for making this episode possible. I really love checking out your tanks. There's something about seeing what the reefing community gets up to. All of you hobbyists there at home, I'm just finding it super inspiring. And it's giving me all kinds of ideas for my blank canvas back here that's still empty. but don't worry, it won't be empty for long. If you want your video to be featured, go ahead and check out that pinned comment at the top of the comment section below, and you can see how you can submit your video on Facebook so it shows up here and I get to take a look at it, and so does everybody else. We all get to appreciate each other's tanks together, which, let's face it, is just the most fun thing ever. And if you want to see some of the past episodes and other tanks that have already been featured, you can check it out right here. It's a whole bunch. Awesome tanks. You guys get up to some really cool stuff.